Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, in this episode we make this photo from the Tower Bridge in London. Come and join me. Bonjour mesdames et messieurs and welcome to episode 37 of my photography, Lightroom and Photoshop tips. My name is Serge Ramelli and I live in Paris, France, a very nice city, but I speak the English language. Alright, last week I showed you how to retouch this photo of this beautiful horse taken right into the sun. It's a scene totally from Gone with the Wind or from The War Horse from Steven Spielberg. Really like drama. I love that photo. Check out last week's episode. This week I show you how to cheat and do some very unnatural stuff. We're going to take this lovely photo from my wife. She was in London a couple of weeks ago and took the Tower Bridge. This is the original shot. I asked her to bring this back and this is the retouched version of it. You will see there's a lot of creative process in that photo. We try to create a sunset. We use a lot of brushes and ND filters. It's technical, but it's beautiful. Come and join me. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. So my wife came back from London and she shot the Tower Bridge. It's an amazing bridge, which I have never seen. I've only been to London a couple of times. But, I told her, bring me a nice photo of the Tower Bridge, and she's a very nice wife. So she did. Now, unfortunately, there was no sunset that night. And I want to show you how to retouch this photo to get very creative. Now, just a little warning. If you loved getting it right into the camera and you hate post-processing and you are only buying organic products and only loving original, untouched, non-post-processed photos, please stop the video now because what you're about to see might change your viewpoint forever. I'm kidding. I'm really gonna get creative here, guys. It's already a nice photo taken, originally, but I am gonna paint over it. I'm gonna show you the power of Lightroom 4. So I hope you're well seated. Let's get started. So we go into the develop module and we start off like I usually do. I open up the shadows. Okay, this is going to basically open up. This is going to do what? This is going to brighten up all the shadows. And then I'm going to get the highlights to come down. Okay, here we have a histogram. The whole idea of this histogram is to get all the information to go from here to here, like to have a nice mountain. And for this, mesdames et messieurs, we're going to take the white slider and bring it to the right. Check out what's happening with the histogram. It goes to the right. So now we have set what we call the white point. And now we're going to do the opposite with the black point. Okay, I'm pressing the option key. That's why the screen is totally white and it goes, and we see only the black pixels. What you see here is pixels which are 100 pixel dark. Okay, so now we already have a better contrast, but that's not all. I want to give a special tone, a very dramatic tone to this photo, and for this I'm going to lower the exposure a little bit because I really want to give it like a night look. But something I don't like about the colors is that it's very blue and it just lacks of contrast. It's like all you have is blue, and it's kind of nice, but not very. So I'm going to boost a bit of clarity because that's what I usually do. And, we'll do the standard stuff, enable profiles correction, maybe, remove chromatic aberration. Okay. Next, I'm going to recrop the photo. I'm going to use a crop tool by clicking here. Okay. And I'm going to make sure my tower is very straight and I'm going to give it a little bit more a movie-like, more panoramic type of feeling, something like that. Okay, and now it's time for the show. This is just a basic process, and let me just lower the exposure even more. Yeah, maybe not that much. So we're gonna dodge and burn. Now I could do this in Photoshop, but many people don't have Photoshop. That's why I try to do everything, in Lightroom. Lightroom is a very cheap software compared to Photoshop, and it's amazing. So just a little note, before Lightroom, I used to spend 100% time in Photoshop. Since Lightroom 4, 95% Lightroom, 5% Photoshop. And I'll show you how and why. So first I'm going to take the brush. I make sure that the brush is everything down to 0. If it's not, press the option key and click on reset. And let's be a painter. I want to bring a, a city light spot here, like if there was a city light. So for this, I'm going to bring up the exposure. I'm going to get the temperature around 50 and then tint around 50. Why? Because, lights are usually yellow. Okay, I'm going to get the flow and the density, flow and density 100%. I make a small circle with my wheel mouse, just here, just make a little spot. Okay. Maybe brighten up a little bit more. Okay, maybe not that yellow, something like that. Okay, and now I'm going to create a new brush. It has the same settings almost, but this time, instead of having the flow at 100 and the density at 100, I'm going to go about halfway. And I'm going to make my circle bigger, and I'm going to make a bigger cycle. What this is going to do is going to brush, but it's going to brush in, okay, maybe add a bit of light here. Yeah, it's going to make a more feather, instead of having just like you have one spot, it makes just the light go a bit further around on a gradient, on a nice little gradient. Okay, maybe brighten up a bit the exposure, maybe a bit less colors, here. Okay, so that's one thing. Next, I want to add some lights here on the foreground just to make it a bit more interesting, but very subtle. So I'm going to create a new brush, get this down to 0, this down to 0, maybe a bit of exposure. I'm going to keep the flow and the density around halfway, and I'm going to just brush here just a little bit. Okay, nothing's happening, so I'm going to get a bit more exposure. Yeah, a bit more here. I just want to complexify a little bit, what's happening here. The reason why I do that, okay, so that's very little, right? That's not much. I'm going to create a new brush, and this time I'm going to get the flow and density. That's the whole trick. You have to play with flow and density, and make the exposure a bit more. And I'm just going to make it, yeah, something like this and something like that. Just, make it a bit more interesting. Something's going on. It gets the texture going a bit better, Okay, so that's one thing. That's for the foreground. Now for the background, I want to create a false sunset. Yes, you've heard. I admit, I am going to cheat. I am going to create a false sunset. I admit. Okay, for this, I have a brush. I'm going to create a new brush. I'm going to get the exposure normal. I don't touch exposure. I'm going to get the tint, yeah, around 50, 53, 48, like before, like basically warm. I'm going to make the flow like lower than 50%. Flow and density lower, feather 100. I make a big circle, and I'm just gonna, yeah, something like this, and I'm just gonna make this a bit warmer. All this, okay? Now, if nothing's happening, which is the case here, that's just because the flow and density is too low. So let's go this way, okay? And let's try again. It has to, the whole idea is to make it a bit warmer. Not so much, but a bit warmer. Okay, it's still not enough, so I'm going to get the density to go up a little bit. Okay, and let's do one more time. One more time. Okay, it's a bit better. Yeah, that's about it. It's just a bit warmer than the blue sky. Okay, now let's make a new brush. Let's keep the same settings, but let's make the flow and the density a bit bigger, and let's make the brush smaller. Okay, I want more warm down here and down here. Okay, the whole idea and also is to warm up the tawa. The tawa must be warmed up. Okay, so now you've got a contrast between the blue sky and a bit of red here. It's completely false, but believe me, not much people is going to see that, at least per my experience. Okay, it's, we're just getting creative here. I'm sorry if I justify all the time, but I get so much hammered sometimes because it's not good. It should have been right in the first place in the camera. You will go to jail. These things happen. So, okay, so now I want to make the photo a bit more dramatic, and for this, I'm going to show you a nice trick. I want the clouds to be more dramatic, so I'm going to create a filter, an ND filter. Make sure everything is down to 0 with the reset key, and boost the clarity, and just go like this. Okay, I make one here, one filter, and all it does, it boosts the clarity. I'm maybe going to lower a bit the exposure. Okay, and I'm going to make another one here. Same thing. boost the clarity, and make the exposure a bit darker. Now check it out, before, after. See how it got the clouds just to be a tiny bit more dramatic, and you know how much I love drama. Okay, so that's kind of nice. Now, I think I'm gonna go even lower on exposure. I want this to be dramatical. No, maybe not. Maybe not a good idea. You always try things around. I'm gonna go for sure post-crop vignetting to make a nice vignette around it, you know, and make this very, very dramatic. And I think I'm gonna add a bit of vibrance to make the whole thing pop a bit more. I love saturated photos, you know that by now. And if you don't like saturated photos, well, that's my taste. Now, if you don't like it, you can just, you know, get the saturation, the vibrance to go the whole other way, and now you've got like an almost non-colorful photo. I just like it this side of life, you know, not that side of life. Okay, least, but that's not all. I think I'm gonna add a bit more contrast, an overall contrast. I just really want the whole thing to pop, you know. Okay, that's kind of cool. And then one thing you can do also is then tweaks the colors. You can go into hue, saturation, and luminance. And let's go to hue. And in hue, sometimes I like to check it around. You know, I just usually take the warm colors here. Go a bit left, see what happens. Okay, it makes the whole thing a bit redder. Go a bit right. Makes the thing a bit more, less red. Could be interesting. Orange. Oh no, it goes too much red. And this way it goes too much. Oh, it could be interesting, maybe a bit that way. And yellow, let's go this way or that way. You know, you just check it out, see what you like. Okay, and then if you want to see, okay, what did I do? You just go here, before and after. Well, I didn't do much. I really didn't do much. No, sorry. It's this one, before, after. Okay, before, after. It's not so much. Okay, let's get this hue going. Yeah, it basically makes the whole thing a bit less saturated. But you know, you can just tweak around the color. I'm going to make this a bit redder. I think I like that to make it even more contrasty, you know. -8 on the red, you know, -4 on the orange. Okay, before, after. You probably could not see it in the video. It's really just a little touch. Let me exaggerate it for you. If I go red like this, this is going to get really red, you know, which is not necessarily what I want. But try this at home. I don't know if you can really see it on the video. You know, it's a subtle change. Okay, and that's basically it. Let me show you the before. Now, I went maybe a bit too fast. So if this is the first time you see one of my tutorials, check a couple of Lightroom tutorials. You know, this is episode number 37, I believe. So, you know, you have a lot of other examples. You will get to use to see my workflow. But, you know, I always have this idea that I have a bit the same viewers all the time. So I'm addressing to them in a way. Okay, so let me show you the before. The before photo. Let me press Y on the, oh, sorry. In the develop module, if I press Y, I should be able to show you the before photo compared to the, that's the before photo. That's the after photo. You see how we have a lot more, not only contrast, you know, in the light and dark, but contrast in the colors. And you can go on and on and on and on, and you know, just really go. More you dodge and burn, more you paint on your photo, more it's going to be your own creation. You know, I would actually try to, you know, maybe do a bit more dodge and burning real fast here. Press the Command Alt key and click here for resetting. Okay, I'm just going to bring up the exposure, and I just want to brighten up this and brighten up that, brighten up this a little bit, you know. And you go by circle, you know, so it gets a more complex lightning. But I think it's interesting, maybe brighten up a bit the trees here, you know, and why not here? And the bridge. Yeah, something like that. That's going to make a more interesting photo. So really, you know, these brushes and these ND filters can really make a photo pop. I show you again the before and after. So that's the before and that's the after. Quite a change. Before, after. Okay. Before we finish, I want to show you on my website, photoserge.com. If you click here on the App Store, this is where you get all my training. If you like this type of tutorial and you want to get more in depth. Now, people have been asking me to get more information of what each training does. And I've done that. For example, you can now click on any training, like Lightroom for retouching, for example. You just click on the icon of the training and it's going to get you to a new page where you see a cover and it says videos by videos what you will be learning and all the before and afters. And so you get 2 hours of videos, you get all these raw files for just $10. Yes, you heard me, $10. So now every course has got this little thing where you can just click on it and you can see all the before and afters. So it really gives a good idea of what you're going to learn in this training. And I advise you to take the packages. You've got 3 packages on the top. One is all Lightroom 4 training, $21 for 6 hours of videos and about 15 raw files. All Photoshop training, that is like 10 hours of training and about 20 raw files for $35. It's a steal, I know. And then you got my whole Photoshop and Lightroom 4 training for $63. And that's a lot of hours of training, but it's like a reference, and you can just see here now what you will be learning. You can also watch the video that's going to learn you, show you the same thing. But if you don't want to have a time to watch the video, just click on the icon and you will see exactly what we will be doing in that training. Okay, folks, thank you for following. I advise you and I thank you if you have the time to purchase my full training. It helps me finance the free versions of this podcast. The paid training, I really go into more details and I give you all the raw files. So you will learn even more. Thank you very much, guys, and let's get back to the studio. Okay, I hope you liked that tutorial. I love doing this type of retouch in Lightroom, even so it's pretty unnatural. I love it because I think it's creative. Really it is, and it makes sometimes awesome pictures. Okay, if you like this video, I ask you just one little favor. Please like it and leave a little comment. It helps to get this video well indexed on YouTube and make this podcast more known. So all I ask you is one little click, a little like and a little comment. And it really helps me to grow and make this podcast known to a maximum people. So thank you very much for being there, guys. And I will see you next week, as we say in France. Bye bye.